Hi everyone, the small engine mechanic here. Today we are going to complete a seasonal service on this Troy Bilt push mower. First, we need to shut the fuel supply off. Then we will need to remove the starter. Sometimes the stud will come off instead of the nut. Easy fix. Just unscrew the stud and lift off the blower housing with the starter. This stud holds the coil. Next we will remove the spark plug. Always inspect the plug back use, it can tell you a lot about what's happening inside the engine. Now remove the 4 bolts that hold the valve cover on. These valve covers are sealed with an RTV sealant. So, you will need to pry the cover off. Oil might come out, so it's good to put something down to catch it. Using a hammer and flat bar, you can loosen the cover from the engine. And there we go. We're going to need the piston to be at top dead center on the intake stroke. You can rotate the engine till the intake valve pushes in and comes back out. Then insert an extension in the spark plug hole and continue to rotate the engine until the extension stops moving outward. Now we can check and adjust the valves as needed. The intake valve clearance is 6 thousandths and the exhaust is 8 thousandths. By inserting the feeler gauge between the rocker and the valve tip, you should feel some resistance, but not too much. This one has no resistance at all and needs to be adjusted. The tool I'm using makes this so much easier to do. If you need to adjust the valve, and don't have this tool, an 8mm wrench and pliers can do the trick too. To adjust the valve tighter, loosen the nut and turn the adjuster clockwise till you feel resistance, then tighten the nut. It might take a couple tries to get the feel right. Perfect. Now for the exhaust side. Yep, no resistance at all. So, we'll adjust this the same way as the intake. There we go. Now gotta clean the RTV off the valve cover and apply some Honda Bond sealant back on. We now need to reinstall the cover, making sure to hand start the cover bolts. Then tighten in a criss-cross fashion. I use the gun to screw them and then tighten them up by hand. Now, I'm replacing the old plug with a NGK BPR6ES plug. Now to get the coil stud back. Using a pair of vice grips, clamp down on the wide base of the stud. Not the threads. Then use a screw gun and remove the nut. And there we go. I'm going to reinstall the stud but won't tighten it right now because I was to make sure the coil gap is set. So, using a 10mm socket, I'll loosen the coil hold down bolt so the coil can move. Make sure the flywheel magnets are off to the side. Now we'll slide a 12/1000 feeler gauge between the mounts of the coil and the flywheel. Then we will rotate the flywheel magnets to the center of the coil. Once the magnets are in the center, the coil will move towards it. Then tighten the coil bolt and stud. Then rotate the flywheel so the magnets will pull the feeler gauge out. Once the feeler gauge is clear, rotate the flywheel back and forth to make sure the magnets can't hit the coil. It clears. Leaving the spark plug wire off, reinstall the blower housing and the starter. And tighten them down. Replacing the air filter is easy. Just remove the cover, get rid of the old one, knock off any dirt from the cover, and install a new one. Part number 17211-Z8B-901. Replace the cover and that's done. For the blade, we will need to rotate the mower on its side. Always lift a mower from the same side as the carburetor. Before lifting, ensure the spark plug wire was not reconnected at any time. With the mower on its side, we're going to remove the blade. Check the blade for any damages or bends. Now is a good time to clear any string of wire from the shaft. Now the blade is sharpened, balanced and ready to go back on. As always, hand start all bolts. Then tighten it up. Rotate it back to the wheels. Open the fuel valve. Reconnect the spark plug wire. Check the oil and add if necessary. And give it a pull. Let it run to get the engine oil hot. To change the oil I'm using a vacuum pump. If you don't have one, you can rotate the mower on its side like changing the blade and drain it through the fill. Just make sure the spark plug wire has been disconnected. Once empty, refill the engine to the full mark on the dipstick. Remember, with Honda engines you do now thread the dipstick in to check the level. Well, the level looks good. So, let's check it out. Sounds good. It's ready for another year of cutting. So, you know what that means.
It looks like another one is good to go.